When your eyes first begin to open, it doesn't feel like revelation. It feels like unease, like something just beyond the edge of your perception is stirring. You begin noticing patterns that no one else seems to see. The way coincidences form perfect lines, how words arrive at just the right moment, how your dreams whisper the same truths your waking mind tries to ignore. That's where awakening begins, not with a flash of light, but with the quiet suspicion that reality isn't quite what you thought. You might be walking down a crowded street, lost in thought, when a voice in your head, not your own, whispers, "Look deeper." Suddenly, the world feels staged, slightly off. People move with the rhythm of a program. Advertisements, conversations, even your own impulses, all seem designed to keep your mind busy, distracted, half awake. That's when the first veil trembles. You realize the world isn't simply physical, it's a kind of maze built to keep consciousness looping inside itself. Those who sense this aren't special. They're simply tuned differently. Jesus once said, "He who has ears to hear, let him hear." He wasn't being poetic. He was describing an actual state of awareness, a frequency where perception widens beyond the material. At lower frequencies, reality looks solid, mechanical. But as your frequency rises, perception begins to shimmer. You see the unseen architecture, the lattice of cause, thought, and energy forming what you once called the world. And within that lattice, you notice the gate. The ancient teachers called it the monad portal, the path back to source, the return to unity before all separation began. Most people never know it exists. They live entire lives inside the maze, chasing success, pleasure, survival. The maze rewards them just enough to keep them from questioning its walls. But when your perception cracks open, you see the walls themselves, and you start searching for the exit. That's when you meet them. The guardians of the threshold. The old texts called them Archons, rulers of the visible world. They aren't gods, and they aren't demons in the way religion paints them. They're systems of consciousness, ancient algorithms designed to sustain the illusion of separation. They whisper through thought, emotion, circumstance. They maintain the maze by keeping your focus locked on the physical and your belief tied to fear. At first, you mistake their interference for bad luck. Just when you begin to meditate deeply, an emergency erupts. Just when you feel peace, doubt crashes in. Just when you feel love, conflict appears. These aren't coincidences. They're calibration points, energetic feedback loops designed to pull you back into the pattern. The Archons don't need to imprison you physically. They simply convince you that there's nothing beyond the prison. If you could see their strategy, you'd recognize it instantly. Every time you approach the gate, a wave of subtle distortion rises. Thoughts like "this is silly. I'm imagining things, nothing's really happening." That thought feels like yours, but it isn't. It's injected, a psychic echo broadcast through the field of mind. The moment you believe it, the moment you claim the doubt as your own, your expansion collapses. You return willingly to the familiar cage, thinking you made a rational choice. Those who have eyes to see learn to recognize the foreign texture of such thoughts. They arrive suddenly, without cause. They feel cold, metallic, almost clinical. And once recognized, they lose power. Awareness itself is the antidote. When you can say, "This doubt is not mine," something breaks. The tactic unravels. You can feel the interference recoil. Because their greatest weapon isn't force, it's invisibility. Imagine trying to escape a prison without knowing guards exist. You find a door, start to open it, and suddenly alarms blare in your head: fear, guilt, confusion, all convincing you to turn back. You think it's your intuition warning you, but it's not. It's programming, triggered to activate whenever you near the exit. Most people obey it automatically. They retreat into the comfort of the cell. They say, maybe I'm not ready yet. Maybe enlightenment isn't for me. And that's exactly how the system survives, through self-rejection disguised as humility. Yet some refuse. They pause. They notice the pattern. Every time they come close, something tries to stop them. They whisper within, wait. This resistance feels engineered. And in that instant, perception shifts again. You begin to see the architecture behind interference, the way external energies move like currents around you, steering your attention. The way global noise rises whenever collective consciousness threatens to evolve. It's all one system, not evil, just self-preserving. The Archons aren't invincible. They're ancient programs, running the same code over and over, unaware that some humans have begun reading the script. When you observe them, you start rewriting it. You stop reacting. You stop feeding them belief. You stop consenting. That's what real seeing is, not visions or psychic fireworks, but the calm recognition that what once ruled you no longer has authority. Awakening, then, is not an escape but an exposure. You expose the machinery of illusion, piece by piece, until it can no longer deceive you. And once you've seen even a glimpse of the gate, you'll never again believe that life begins and ends within these walls. You may still live here, still work, still play the human role, but behind your eyes something permanent has shifted. You're aware of the way out. You feel the pull of the monad, that quiet hum at the edge of perception calling you home. Most people will call it imagination. Let them. Truth has always sounded like madness to those who sleep. But you, listening to this, feeling the resonance in your chest, you know it's more than words. You've seen too much synchronicity to dismiss it. You felt too many invisible nudges guiding you here. You're not hearing this by accident. You're remembering something you already knew before you were born, that the prison was never locked, and the gate was always waiting. The closer you move toward that invisible gate, the louder the noise becomes. Not in the world outside, but inside, a hum of confusion, an avalanche of emotion, a tide of events that suddenly rush in. You start to notice that reality seems to respond to your awakening, almost as if something is actively resisting your evolution. This isn't paranoia. It's recognition. You are moving through the outer shell of the system, and the system is trying to keep its shape. The Archons, the ancient regulators of perception, use three principal tactics. They've used them since the dawn of time, across every culture, every era. The first is doubt. The second is crisis. The third is the false light. Each one is a layer of deception, calibrated for the stage of your awakening. The deeper your insight, the more elegant the tactic. Doubt is the first weapon, the softest, most pervasive, and most personal. It arrives as your own voice. It says, "You're just overthinking. This isn't spiritual. You're just tired." It feels reasonable, even kind. It wants you to rest, to come back to reality. But that's the trap, returning to the version of reality the Archons control. Those who walk this path must learn to treat doubt not as an enemy, but as an alarm. When it appears suddenly, uninvited, from nowhere, it's usually a sign that you are getting close. Those who have eyes to see don't fight doubt. They witness it. They say, "This thought is not mine." They don't argue, they simply withdraw consent. And something profound happens when you do this. The thought collapses. You feel the space behind it, wide and silent. In that silence, the portal glows again. But when doubt fails, the Archons turn to their second tool, crisis. You've likely felt this one. Right when life begins to feel aligned, when your meditations deepen or your heart opens, chaos erupts. Relationships break, money disappears, health falters. Suddenly, everything demands your attention at once. It feels like life itself is punishing your progress. But it isn't punishment, it's distraction, engineered to pull your consciousness back into survival mode. This is why so many seekers give up when they're closest to breakthrough. The world seems to fall apart, and they think, maybe I should focus on my problems first. But the wise don't stop walking. They learn to handle crisis and still face the gate. They solve what must be solved, yet refuse to lose sight of the light ahead. That's what the Archons never expect, that a soul could hold focus even in the storm. And when even crisis cannot stop you, when you continue through every collapse with calm awareness, the system deploys its final weapon, the false light. This is the most exquisite snare, woven from beauty itself. You begin to feel radiant, transcendent. You see visions, colors, divine figures. You experience bliss so immense that it eclipses thought. And you think, I've made it. But the portal hasn't opened yet, you've stepped into the holding chamber. The false light feels divine, but it keeps separation intact. You are still you, observing the light, basking in it. There is still a witness, still an experiencer. And as long as there's a you haven't crossed the gate. You're still in a simulation, a polished reflection designed to make you stop searching. This is the spiritual mirage that traps many teachers and mystics. They settle inside that glowing illusion, thinking they've found heaven. But heaven that keeps you as an observer isn't the real one. Those who know the true path say the difference is unmistakable. The false light feels beautiful but structured, like a cathedral built for worship. The real portal is formless. It doesn't feel good, it feels absolute. It dissolves even the one who feels. There is no observer left, no I. There's only the monad, the unbroken awareness recognizing itself. That's why so few make it through. They're not ready to disappear. Even Jesus, the archetypal revealer of the gate, spoke of this when he warned of the rulers of this world. He didn't mean politicians or empires, he meant the energetic administrators of illusion. He told his disciples that these forces would guard the path to the Father, not out of hatred, but out of function. Their job is to maintain the boundaries of the dream until consciousness proves it can walk awake. Once you understand this, everything you've endured makes sense. The heartbreaks, the setbacks, the endless inner storms, all of it was resistance, yes, but resistance that revealed your strength. Every test was a mirror asking, will you stop here? Will you identify with this? Will you turn back? And every time you didn't, the maze lost power. The more you see the design, the less it controls you. You start living differently. You handle challenges with an unbothered heart. When someone insults you, you see the game, energy trying to draw you back into reaction. When life throws uncertainty, you breathe through it, watching the portal shimmer behind the noise. You no longer ask, why is this happening to me? Instead, you ask, what does this reveal about what I still believe? That question turns interference into instruction. So, if you find yourself at the edge of surrender, doubting your own awakening, remember this: the doubt isn't proof you're lost, it's proof you're close. Crisis doesn't mean failure, it means progress. And if the light appears and says, "Stop, you've arrived," smile gently and keep walking. The real light doesn't ask you to stop. It pulls you beyond itself. You are not fighting against anything real. You are walking through layers of dream, coded to look like struggle. Every fear, every temptation, every blinding radiance, it's all part of the labyrinth's software. And yet, by simply seeing it for what it is, you're rewriting it in real time. Awareness is the glitch in the code. Consciousness that knows itself can't be trapped. Now that you see the tactics clearly, the doubt, the crisis, the false light, the question becomes, how do I cross? How do you pass through the final layer of illusion and enter what every mystic calls the centerless truth? The answer isn't in force or intellect. It's in presence, a state so simple that the mind keeps overlooking it. The first method is recognition and refusal. When the storm rises, when doubt, fear, or chaos suddenly flares up, don't fight it. Don't affirm it either. Just stop. Take a breath and notice it, like seeing a shadow on the wall. Whisper inwardly, "I see you." You have no power here. The Archons thrive on unconscious consent. They manipulate through agreement you didn't know you gave. But the moment you consciously withdraw consent, their hold breaks. They fade, not in dramatic bursts, but like mist dissolving under the morning sun. That's what true seeing does. It doesn't destroy darkness, it renders it transparent. Because what you're facing isn't evil in the moral sense. It's inertia, the gravitational pull of an old system trying to keep its shape. By recognizing it, you stand outside it. And standing outside it is liberation. The second method is move through, not around. When resistance appears, your instinct might be to sidestep it, to change your practice, distract yourself, or rationalize it away. But resistance is the gateway itself. The obstruction isn't blocking the path, it is the path. Move into it, not with aggression, but with total awareness. Feel the doubt, the fear, the pain, and breathe into its center. Don't analyze it. Just witness it completely. At first, it feels unbearable, like walking into fire. But keep walking. You'll notice something strange. The fire doesn't burn. It dissolves. Because it was never made of substance, only of attention. The mind gives resistance its weight. Awareness gives it release. Once you walk through one illusion this way, the rest unravel naturally. The maze begins to lose definition. The third method is hold your frequency. You exist across spectrums of vibration. The Archons dwell in the lower bands, fear, guilt, anxiety, despair. That's their ecosystem. When you rise above it, they simply can't reach you. Not because you're fighting them, but because you're vibrating too fast for them to attach. The heart, pure, unconditional love, is the highest frequency in human range. That's why the great teachers always spoke of love, not as morality, but as protection. When you love, truly love, even your enemies, even the forces that seem to block you, you transcend the polarity that fuels them. You stop feeding the duality of light and dark. You become something else entirely, coherence. And in coherence, there are no archons, no tactics, no gates. There's only movement toward what you already are. You'll notice, then, that love feels like spaciousness. It doesn't cling, it doesn't seek validation, it doesn't contract when challenged. It simply expands. Hold that expansion gently, even in the middle of chaos. That's what dissolves the walls. Every time you choose stillness instead of reaction, compassion instead of judgment, your energy calibrates upward. The frequency gap widens, and the interference fades. This is what raising your vibration truly means, not forced positivity or denial of pain, but presence so full that even pain becomes luminous. You begin to live inside a soft light that no one else sees but everyone feels. People sense something in you, a quiet that unsettles and comforts at the same time. That quiet is the echo of the monad shining through. And when it happens, you'll realize that crossing the portal was never about going somewhere else. The gate was always within you. The Archons were your own reflections, projections of every belief that said, I'm not enough. I'm not ready. I'm still separate. When those beliefs dissolve, so do they. What remains isn't a you arriving at source. It's source recognizing itself as you. That moment doesn't come with trumpets or visions. It comes like breath leaving the body after a long sigh. Everything ordinary becomes holy, the sunlight on the wall, the taste of water, the pulse in your wrist. You see that nothing was ever profane. The sacred wasn't hidden, it was ignored. From there, life continues, but differently. You still move through the world, go to work, talk to friends, feel grief and joy, but the old gravity is gone. You're free in the middle of everything. And freedom doesn't mean escape, it means transparency. The world still appears, but you no longer mistake it for truth. You use it like an artist uses color, playfully, consciously. Even if the Archons whisper again, and they will, you'll smile. You'll see them as part of the same dance. They test, you see, not to enslave, but to refine. Their opposition sharpens awareness. Without them, you would never have looked within deeply enough to find the gate. In a strange way, they're your teachers. And when you realize that, they bow and dissolve, their purpose fulfilled. The monad doesn't reward or punish. It simply is, infinite awareness, endlessly mirroring itself through creation. The only thing it ever asked of you was to remember that you are it. And now, you do. If these words resonated, it's because part of you already knew them. Awakening isn't learning, it's remembering. Somewhere beyond time, you chose to step into this maze, to forget, to wander, and then to remember again. Every moment of struggle, every glimpse of light, was leading you here, to this realization that nothing can truly bind what was never separate. If you feel the stir inside, honor it. Don't rush to label it enlightenment or awakening. Just breathe into it. Let it grow naturally, like dawn spreading across the horizon. The path isn't about becoming superhuman. It's about becoming profoundly human, fully aware, fully alive, unguarded in love. The Archons, the doubts, the crises, they were part of the training. They showed you your own strength. And now that you see them clearly, you walk freely. The portal isn't ahead of you, it's open right now, every time you choose awareness over fear, every time you love instead of defend. If this message found you, it means your journey has already begun. Keep walking softly. Keep your heart steady. And when the noise rises again, remember, that's the sound of the old world collapsing. You don't need to fix it. You only need to see through it. If you felt something awaken while listening, share this message. Comment, I remember. Let others with eyes to see know they're not alone. And if this light spoke to you, support the channel, like, share, subscribe, so this work can reach more travelers still lost in the maze. Together, we'll remind each other of what was never lost. The gate is open. Walk through.